Welcome, everyone, to the Game Vault Podcast. I'm your host, Tom Schuster. Joining me tonight are Jenny Aquino and Mark Myers. Tonight we'll be discussing the worst video game remakes of all time and reviewing our Retro Roulette game, Klonoa, The Door to Phantomile for the Sony Playstation. But before we get to all of that, what have you guys been playing? I know it's been busy. I know I haven't been playing much. Jen, you want to start?
Sure. So as usual, I've been playing Phasmo. Nothing negative to report there, but on a positive note, somebody did play with me on stream, and I'm sure when it's their turn, they're going to rave about how much fun they had. But that was definitely a highlight for me in the Phasmo world. Aside from Phasmo, I have been playing and beat Inscription.
Oh, yeah.
Which I don't even know what to say about this. Like, I don't know how. I know, Mark, off stream, we talked about how you were cool with spoilers.
I have listened to a spoiler cast.
You have? Okay. I don't want to go too deep into spoilers, just in case our listeners, it's still a pretty new game. So I want to give people a chance. Maybe we could do like a discussion on it after you beat the game.
Yeah. Sure.
But
yeah, feel free to do a spoiler cast.
Yeah. So this will be spoiler free. I'll just say that the game is way more complex than I thought it was going into it. I had watched a little bit of gameplay from a fellow streamer friend of mine, and it looked cool. And that's really all I knew going in, was that it was some kind of card game, and it looked like a horror genre card game. It's really crazy. There's layers to it. There's this wild sort of storyline. There's found footage. It like goes in deep. There's some crazy shit in this game. If anyone out there is interested in card games, horror, strategy games, and puzzles, conspiracy theories, like breaking the fourth wall, sort of, found footage, like all that kind of really interesting stuff, this game is definitely for you. I'm excited to potentially do a spoiler cast on it because there's so much to talk about and like break down and decompress from this game. And apparently there's some kind of hidden Easter eggs in the game, and this conspiracy going on about it. Just, I can't even get into it. It's wild. So I would highly recommend anybody, for the most part, to play the game. At least try it out and see what you think. Tom, I think that the second act, you'll be all about it.
Will I, or are you just saying this?
No, I'm not being sarcastic. I think it's not the horror aspect of it that I thought there was. It's only really the first act, and it's not even that scary. It's just like creepy because you're in a cabin with a guy whose eyes are glowing and you can't really see him other than that. But it's not gory. It's not super terrifying. It's more of an interesting, like, eerie story that you're uncovering. But yeah, it's mainly puzzles and obviously the card game itself. But I think I would be interested to see what you have to say about it. Honestly, I'm not like setting you up or anything. Like, I really think that you might have an interesting take on it, especially Act 2, because the game changes a little bit, and it reminded me of something that you might like.
And depending on how deep you want to dive, there's an ARG involved.
Yeah. So
I'll have to look into it. I don't know.
Look into it and see what you think. I don't think it's going to be the kind of game where you're like, why, like, this is too scary or this is too gory. It's not gory at all. Right, Mark?
Not that I know of. Never been mentioned.
Yeah, it's not gory or anything. It's not really that scary either. It's, like I said, it's mainly a like a card strategy game, but there's layers of, like storyline in it and stuff like that. But that was fun.
I'm always up for something new, so I'll have to check it out.
Yeah. And one more thing I'll say about it. When I beat the game, it gives you the option to start a new game, but there are elements from the first game that apparently lives on through your new game, which I didn't realize. And it takes a while to warm up to the mechanics of battling with the cards and getting a good strategy down. So right after I beat the game, like a psychopath, I started a new game to continue, like, to play again, because I liked it that much. And I flew through most of the first map so quickly, or the first game so quickly with the card games, I just kept winning, that my competitor, all of a sudden, his eyes turned red and he said, "You're going too fast." And he just filled the board with the hardest card and made it impossible for me to beat him. So I was like, oh my God, this game, like, it kind of glitches, and it reminds me of something that happened in the end of the game. So I was like, if this game is still continuing somehow, I'm going to be blown away. But it's like that. It kind of just like confuses you and takes you on this wild trip with the storyline and everything. So it's crazy. But yeah, I think I'm going to play through it again because I had a lot of fun. And there may be a potential for alternate endings or at least like a different path that you can take at one point because there's a choice you make at one point. So we'll see. But when you beat it, we'll do a spoiler cast. Okay. We'll talk about our experiences with it, I think. So yeah, other than Inscription, all of my free time has been spent back in Minecraft. And I have Death Comes to blame for that. One of my other streamer friends, he and his wife Liz have been asking me for months if I could join their Minecraft server because they play on Tuesday with the community. And I kept saying no because Minecraft always sucks up all of my free time. And it's an addiction. And I was away from it for a few years. And I finally went back to it. And yeah, I now know why I left in the first place because it is ridiculously addicting to me. So there's that. And then obviously, aside from that, I've been playing Infinite with you guys. And then our Retro Roulette game a little bit, which we'll talk about more later.
Mark, how about you?
Yeah, so I had a fever dream that I played some game last week for like 2 hours that involved talking to 4 people and going through a house with flashlights and stuff. I don't really remember. There was a voice box and some candles. Times when my ass was sticking out to everyone. But glad I did it. Mm-hmm. Had some fun with some new friends. That's always the good part. Got some sassiness from Miss McChicken. I think I was Miss McChicken, right?
Playing with us?
Yeah.
It was Otterly.
Oh, it was Otterly. Mm-hmm. Sorry. Yeah. Every time I went to do my little bit about the game, she went,
Well, everyone knows, I think, for the all of my regulars know when you pop in, you usually like jokingly insult Phasmo or we just talk about how you hate it sometimes. So I think everyone knew that you hated it or disliked it going into it. So they were all excited to see you play.
Yeah. And the only cool part is that I got a sick burn on Maiden on the way out of the game.
You did. Another sick burn. That's your second sick burn on Maiden.
So that was part, but the only other 2 games I've been playing, continuing my stretch of being a Call of Duty bro, I'm level 47 in that game. Well, I'm not 69 yet, Jeff.
Oh, sorry. I ruined it.
Okay.
And I'm leveling up. I'm now switching to shotguns for certain maps.
Oh, getting smart.
My KD is at 0.6, so that is like triple of what I used to do. And they added a new thing where it's just the 2 smallest maps in the entire multiplayer. And you can just play those on rotation. So I've been doing that. That's been fun. And just can't believe I'm playing online shooter and not getting my ass kicked all the time, which is kind of impressive. Considering if you guys actually knew me in real life before streaming, or watched our Apex streams, one or the other. Then the other game I've been playing, just because the season's coming to a close, is NCAA 14. I've been playing that a whole bunch, and created a quarterback, and he is the greatest living college athlete of all time.
As you do.
Yeah. He's the quarterback for Tulane, and he is currently almost at 20,000 passing yards.
Jesus.
And almost at 7,000 rushing yards. So he's going to be the all-time NCAA leader in both passing and rushing yards. And I'm already the all-time touchdowns leader in both. If I could figure out a way to have switched his positions to wide receiver for 1 year and be able to break all those records in 1 year, I would do it. But it's been fun. And I can't wait for them to do an updated one with the college football playoff because I'm dealing with the bullshit BCS in this game. So, but yeah, I thank every time I play it. I thank Tom for introducing me to that perfectly working PS3 that he got me to be able to play that game again.
Anytime.
Yeah.
But by the way, that absolutely working PS3, I believe plays all PS3 games now. every single one.
Pretty cool.
As it should.
Yeah, because it's a PS3.
I mean, we bought it at a flea market, so who knew, right?
Right, that's true.
Could have had some damaged chips.
we just had to make sure.
Just had to make sure.
Makes sense.
But there are, I played a little Forza Horizon 5. I destroyed Tom and our friend Jonathan's stunt number thing.
Oh, really?
The combo meter or whatever.
Oh.
I think you were at like 200,000, and I found the mountain range and all that, and did a lot of drifting and stuff with a wheel. It's either a front wheel. It's like a 2-wheel drive car. I was
it'd be a rear wheel drive car.
Yeah. So, and I got up to like 600,000 because I kept the combo going because it was a hilly wooded area. So I keep getting points for hitting the trees and then knocking the things out. Then I found a bridge in this one area and would keep getting air to keep the combo going.
That's funny.
It went around. Yeah. So it was pretty fun. That game's amazing. It has as much Burnout Paradise trappings that will keep me playing that game that I've seen in a game in a while. I am upset that you can't actually drive up the actual ruins.
I know. I figured you'd be a little upset about that, but
there are certain ruins you can drive up, but
yes.
The actual ones that have the steps you cannot. But it's a great game. If it came out like a month earlier, I think it might have been up for Game of the Year for the Video Game Awards. I would think with how well it is been received.
I mean, it definitely came out late for all that stuff, but
I'll get it. It'll be on my list for sure.
We need to get Jen playing.
I know. I honestly totally forgot to start playing. I had intended on doing it for Extra Life or after it or before it, around then, and then I just totally forgot about it.
Yeah.
The beauty of it is it's on Game Pass, so
yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah. So I downloaded Inscription. Going to be playing that. I haven't played it yet. And then I think there's a couple games in my backlog that I should have for next fully. So yeah, that's it. Just mostly a Call of Duty bro now.
And Phasmo bro.
Well, that was a fever.
we have a lot of stuff we got to do from Extra Life, so we have to figure out when we can get it all done.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Because we're still working on stuff from last year, so that just tells you how quickly we're going to get all this stuff done.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'll probably have more things to report because I would assume either next episode or the episode after would be our year-end episode.
Yeah. Yeah, most likely. All right.
Hey, what'd you play, Tom?
Forza Horizon 5. Pretty much all I played besides Halo, which I have to say, I'm having way more fun than I thought I would with the not being able to pick what you want to play. But thankfully, next week we should be able to pick what we want to play. Okay. I think it goes live the 8th, right? So that'll be the day before we stream, I think.
Yeah, the 8th is.
No, it goes live the day we stream. So hopefully, fingers crossed, they'll have all that crap worked out. Because the last thing we need is to get on and have everything be broken.
And we'll get to play SWAT.
I can't wait. I can't wait to play some SWAT. Been waiting.
SWAT and only SWAT.
I've made Jen a SWAT only player, and I love it.
At this point, I'll take SWAT or Slayer, honestly. But SWAT's a lot of fun. It's that immediate kill with the headshot that I love.
Yeah, really. I think it speeds up the game, and it allows you to kind of hone in on one section, I guess. You don't have to worry about sometimes even body shots. If you get if you don't hit them twice or once really fast with a headshot, generally 2 or 3 well-placed shots will kill a person. So
yeah,
I definitely I like it for the simplicity. I also like it because there's no radar. So
that's cool too.
Yeah, it makes it a little more interesting. But anyway, so Forza Horizon 5, I'm going to continue gushing about it because that's what I do. I went through and played a championship where you drive basically what would be an 18-wheeler minus the trailer. You obviously don't get to use the trailer. I believe they call them Euro trucks. So nice. It's like a giant Mercedes big rig, and I did a whole championship with it, and it was the goofiest thing I've ever played. But it is amazing how different they're able to make it feel than other cars. You could feel how heavy it was and how it wouldn't turn unless you had power to the rear wheels. And I got to give them credit. There's only so much you can do to make a car feel real through a controller. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
And they just do a really good job. They always have. Like especially like when you're driving an off-road vehicle, all of a sudden you come up to a championship where it's an on-road like S1 or S2 ranked car class, and it feels like you're driving a rocket ship compared to what you were just driving. And you kind of have to relearn how to drive as you're going. But I love it. I love the fact that you can that it changes stuff up so well. And I mean, there's been a lot of hate. I've found like on Reddit, there's been a lot of hate for this game. I don't know why. I mean, I guess because I don't play online. I think there's been a big problem with people connecting online to do.
Yeah, that's usually where the gripes and review bombs.
Yeah, but I don't give a shit about that. I don't care about playing against people online. That's like the last thing I do in a Forza Horizon game. I don't even think about it, honestly. Like, there's so much stuff to do in the single player game. There's no reason to go and do anything else, honestly. I mean, people like to play against other people, I guess, but I'm not. It's not that big of a deal to me that I need to worry about that. So it's almost a perfect game. There's nothing that I've done so far that I've not enjoyed, and I'm going to continue gushing about it until we have our awards at the end of the year. Then I might gush on it. We'll see. But until then, I'm hoping to start playing some more stuff now that like at least one big holiday is out of the way. The next one I don't think is going to be as busy. Hopefully, we'll see. So hopefully I'll get to play some more stuff. And I'm off between Christmas and New Year's. So you got to hold me to it here because you didn't hold me to it last year. Last year I said I was going to beat a game and I did not beat. I have to beat Deathloop during either before or during that break.
Wow, you heard it here, folks.
Yeah.
You gotta hold me to it this time.
We're gonna literally hold you down until you do it.
You're gonna have to, because that game I haven't picked it up. I haven't picked up anything besides Forza in quite a while. So you're gonna have to like get me sat down and listen. You gotta play this. You gotta remind me every day. Get on me on Twitter. I'll gladly take the abuse just because I spent full price on the damn game. I need to beat the thing because it made me even more mad because it was like $20 for Black Friday. Ugh, what a nightmare. Which is why I love Game Pass. For Game Pass, I don't have to pay full price for anything. Like if I had, like, especially for Halo and Forza, I can just wait till they're eventually, $15 or whatever and just buy them then and still play them because I have Game Pass. So, amen for Game Pass.
Yeah,
you may be hearing more about a Sony-styled thing soon. We don't want to comment on it yet because there's no information. There's like, it may be coming. That's about all we know. So be on the lookout for that. If something comes out in the next couple of weeks, we'll talk about it. But for now, we'll leave it at that because that's all we know.
And it goes to my thing that I've always said about PlayStation is that at some point they were going to figure out a way to do a competitor just because they had as much of a back catalog as Xbox does.
Yeah, if not more so, because they can dig into older games like PS1 and PS2, and if they can get that stuff working on a PS5, it could be good. But we won't. We're not gonna speculate too much because we don't know anything.
Well, Sony's gonna fuck it up anyway, so it doesn't matter.
They'll charge $100 for it. Like they'll pull a Nintendo.
Yeah.
I hope not. God, I hope not.
Yeah.
Anyway, so a lot of stuff has been happening. Jen, you want to hit us with some news?
Sure. So our first story talks about the newest N64 edition for the Switch. So if you live under a rock, you wouldn't know that back in October, Nintendo added the N64 and the Genesis games to their Nintendo Switch Online offerings. It is now an extension to the original subscription service, and it costs a butt-ton of money. So their first new addition to the gaming lineup has been announced, which is only one game, and it's Paper Mario. And that's going to be available on December 10th. I kind of am disappointed that they're only adding one game, especially after, like I said, that huge price hike for the extended service. But I'm hoping going forward, we're going to be seeing more than one game added at a time, especially since they've already hinted that we're going to get like Banjo-Kazooie, Pokemon Snap, and Majora's Mask. So, yeah.
Granted, Paper Mario is one of those games that I'm glad they're adding because it costs. I mean, Mark, have you looked lately to see how much that game costs?
No, I've stopped after being disappointed at how high games are costing nowadays.
I want to say this game, it's like a $75 to $100 game at this point. So
Jesus.
the fact that it's coming to a service like this, and if they get the emulation right,
It'll kill that market.
It'll kill that market, hopefully, and not make it so freaking expensive. That's the beauty of Nintendo re-releasing this stuff. If they can get it right and it doesn't suck, it'll make the resale market go down in price. So I'm okay with only this game only coming first, because if they're taking their time and getting it right, I'll be fine with it. Like again, it's like that thing Miyamoto said. It's a delayed game will be a good game, but a rushed game will always be a bad game. So
that's true.
Especially since this is a premier game for the N64. It's one of the most beloved RPGs on the system. One of the only RPGs on the system.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. Well, I just hope that it doesn't the emulation isn't shit.
Yeah, I've been reading reviews on the emulation on the games that are, have been added so far, and it's kind of a mixed bag. It seems like some people think it's great, some people think it's not great. So it'll be interesting to see when they roll out more games, what the overall consensus is on that.
Yeah, they should be continuing to update this stuff like every month, just because they can fix it. We all know they have the ability to fix it. So Nintendo, get it right. You're charging all this freaking money.
Right.
Yeah, but it's Nintendo's thing to do things as cheaply as possible.
I know. And then they get yelled at, and then they eventually fix it. So
we'll see. So next, Epic has announced that they are introducing a feature to Fortnite called Party Worlds, which would be a pretty different way to experience the game. So Party Worlds are going to be a social hangout for players to chill with their friends and make new friends virtually. Comparing this to the competitive style of this game, this would be much more laid back. And you'll be able to hang out in pretty chill locations with some mini games to play with your friends as well. So right now they've announced there will be Walnut World, which I think is like a theme park, and the Late Night Lounge, which is what it sounds like, a nightclub type of atmosphere. And they're also asking content creators to submit their own ideas for new Party World locations. You would just have to go to the Epic website and apply, but you also have to already be accepted into the Support a Creator 2.0 program, which is, I guess, like an affiliateship with Fortnite.
So essentially this is the first step to Ready Player One.
Right. That's kind of what I was thinking. So basically they have this goal that they want to create the metaverse, they're calling it, which is...
They want to create a metaverse too?
Yeah. They want to create a metaverse, and they're describing it as a fully integrated 3D online space for people to exist in, aka, like what Mark just said. And they're already taking the steps towards it, because apparently, I didn't know this until I was looking into this, users can already create islands as like a social space using the game's creative mode. But I mean, hearing that they're doing the party worlds now, it seems like they're pretty much focusing on making this actually happen. And they're really encouraging their users to do these like social first spaces over just like the battle royale that they're known for. So I think it'll be interesting to see if they do create this metaverse and how that changes not only Fortnite as a game, but potentially like the whole gaming industry, because Fortnite, as we all know, is huge. And I wonder if it's going to get people on board with, more of the whole Ready Player One atmosphere of virtual gaming.
Well, it's also interesting to me that they're finally digging back into the creative element of Fortnite, because Fortnite kind of started out as almost a Minecraft clone.
It was a tower defense game,
right? But they only came at night, so that's why it was So that's why you'd have to build up your house and everything else during the day.
Right.
And then at night, the zombies or whatever would come.
Yeah. Wow, that's going way back.
Yeah.
It's crazy how much it's changed and is continuing to evolve.
Oh, you can thank PUBG for that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Wild.
But yeah, it's interesting that they're finally going to start using that. It'll be interesting to see what people come up with.
Yeah. And I think it's kind of cool that I didn't even know that they had an affiliate program for their content creators. I don't know what goes into them selecting people, but I think that's cool. So maybe, the potential for, content creators to do more with Fortnite is going to grow as well. So if anyone out there is a streamer or a YouTuber, this could be something you might be interested in too going forward, depending on, what comes of the metaverse and all that. I mean, I gotta give it to them. It's a pretty badass name, the metaverse.
Well, I think anything can technically be a metaverse. I think that's the problem is that now that Facebook has they want to make their own metaverse and it's everything's too meta. Let's get away from it.
Sorry, what's the name of the company, Tom?
Meta, right?
Yeah. I thought you said Facebook when you first said it.
Well, Facebook is now Meta. So it's the whole thing.
I hate hearing the word meta said over and over and over and over again.
Because it gets worse every time you say it.
Yeah, it really does. It does get worse every time you hear it. You're like, stop.
The word meta has become cringy at this point.
Yeah, that's funny.
Oh, anyway.
Sorry, let's move on.
Get yourself prepared for Ready Player One. If you haven't watched the movie, or read the book, go do so.
Yes. All right. So next up, we have some changes with GOG. So CD Projekt Red has announced that they are making changes to the storefront in the wake of disappointing financial issues that they've been experiencing for quite some time.
Cyberpunk?
Yeah, that's a big part of it. Their CFO announced that due to a huge net loss last quarter, and then also since 2019 in general, they're going to be returning to their initial strategy of offering hand-picked games. And he also announced because of this change, there's going to be an internal team structure change, and they're actually pulling some developers off of GOG and putting them towards other projects.
Cyberpunk.
Which is Cyberpunk, probably. We're on to you guys. They haven't really gone into detail on how exactly the gaming catalog is going to change just yet, but they did just announce it. So.
Essentially, they're going to go back to good old games.
Yes. That's what I was just going to say. If anyone didn't know, they started back in 2008 as good old games, and that was literally their intent, was to offer you a hand-picked selection of really good older games that are currently really hard to find.
A thing of beauty for collectors and people who liked those old games and couldn't either don't have the ability to have an older computer to play them, or it's almost impossible to play the games on a newer computer. Right. That was the beauty of GOG was they put it in a wrapper and gave it to you.
Yeah, I bought a Gabriel Knight example. Those older. That's an older FMV adventure game. For those of you that don't know what Gabriel Knight is.
Yeah.
With an actor that kind of looks like Eric Stoltz.
Well, I mean, they have all they have Myst and they had Seventh Guest and all that point and click stuff, everything like that. Anything you can think of, they had over there.
It's a gem. So, I mean, they did eventually expand to an all-purpose storefront, but I feel like obviously there was Cyberpunk, but also just a ton of competition from Steam mainly. I mainly go to Steam for my PC games. And even Epic, which apparently Epic hasn't been doing great, but they have this Fortnite cushion to fall back on. So
that's the thing with GOG is because it's CD Projekt Red, they had The Witcher and they could, it's kind of like, Valve did the same thing. They built Steam as a proponent to push Half-Life. So it was the same type of thing. They built Steam around Half-Life. Epic built their store around Fortnite, and GOG did theirs around The Witcher. So
which is interesting you bring that up because I also read that they're removing Gwent, that they're distancing themselves from Gwent, which I think in 2017 they had announced that Gwent was going to be one of the most important pieces of their online storefront.
Yeah, it's a weird thing that they're doing that. I don't know what.
Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe the player count's not high.
I don't know. I don't. It's not like people don't play it. People still play it all the time. You can go on Twitch right now and you can see people playing Gwent.
It's so much fun. I got sucked into that for a while. It's a lot of fun.
I mean, people always want to play a card game. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess we'll see what happens. But
yeah,
I love GOG.
I was going to say that too. I would be really sad to see it go completely. So if it means they have to go back to their roots, which are good roots, then by all means, please do.
Yeah. And GOG Galaxy actually does a thing where it like pulls in all of your games that you have on all different launchers into there, and you can launch them from there, and it keeps track of all achievements.
That's pretty cool.
Things like that.
Yeah, so. GOG Galaxy may be the best launcher there is because it will allow you to launch games from any other launcher. So if you don't like having 16 launchers load up every time you turn your computer on, just use GOG Galaxy. That's what I use.
Yeah, that's pretty cool too. Well, hopefully good things to come. They turn themselves around a bit. But we'll see, I guess. And then
just give us Monster Truck Madness and we'll be happy.
Give us Monster Truck Madness. Give me Roller Coaster Tycoon and more Myst. Damn it. Just kidding.
Give me more games.
And Roller Coaster Tycoon's on there.
I know. That's what I'm saying. Like, don't take this away from me. I want to be able to go Zoo Tycoon. I want to do it up. Okay. All my tycoons.
I'm with you.
So if you listen to our last podcast, we talked about the $10,000 Gucci Xbox bundle.
God.
So weirdly enough, I have another story where fashion and gaming have combined, which is starting to become a thing, apparently.
Can only go well.
Yeah. So as part of its annual fashion awards, the British Fashion Council, which is really hard to say, is adding a new category for 2021, which is an award for, oh no, I forgot the word is in it again, metaverse design.
Oh my God.
I looked ahead in my notes and was like, I'm going to say it again. That'll be the last time I say it, I think. This award was apparently created in partnership with Roblox. So currently, this year's shortlist is limited to 5 Roblox creators. And this award is going to be presented virtually by an avatar of Gucci's creative director, Alessandro Michele, inside a Roblox experience. And players will also be able to explore a virtual recreation of the Royal Albert Hall to watch the awards. So you can actually log into Roblox and I guess go check it out virtually. And this is obviously a publicity stunt, but Gucci seems like they're really trying to make a huge attempt to merge into the video game world.
I don't know why. It just doesn't make any sense.
I don't know, but they've partnered with Roblox in the past with sneakers in the game. And then they're also, I think, sponsoring 100 Thieves, which is an esports organization. And then even outside of Gucci, we have Louis Vuitton, Burberry, and Longchamp. They've all created in-game outfits for Fortnite and League of Legends. So apparently it's this thing that I didn't know about that's starting to happen with high fashion, like merging into video games. And when I was reading about this, the first thing that came to my mind is how is this going to be a good thing specifically with Roblox and Fortnite, with all these kids playing these games, becoming obsessed with Gucci sneakers or Burberry clothes. I think that's a dangerous thing parents don't see coming.
Well, yeah, and I don't understand, like, why are you targeting kids? Like, Roblox is like 100% a kids game. Like,
and predators. No,
I wasn't gonna go there, Mark. Mark's niece plays Roblox. She's 10.
Yeah, which is why no, kidding.
She's 10 years old.
Yeah.
So, like, you're marketing to 10-year-olds for stuff that they cannot buy. Clearly, probably their parents cannot buy either. Like, I just don't get it. It just doesn't make any sense.
I'm just imagining. So, in my small circle of friends and people that I work with, I've heard horror stories of people's kids stealing their credit cards and buying V-Bucks or whatever Roblox stuff is called. And I can't even imagine a kid seeing Gucci sneakers in Roblox and then looking them up online and being like, boop, I'm going to take this. I'm going to go buy them now. Like, I don't know. I feel like it's dramatic to say that, but at the same time, if we're purposely putting high fashion brands in games, like you said, that are marketed mainly to children, it's going to happen eventually, especially with sneakers, right? That's a big thing.
Oh yeah.
Collecting sneakers, like designer sneakers.
So quick tangent. the reason that we have problems getting GPUs and stuff like that right now, and even video games to some extent, is from sneakers. They built all of these scrapers and stuff to buy sneakers up. So that's the reason you can't buy a graphics card right now, is because of the people who wanted to, the scalpers who wanted to buy sneakers and sell them for astronomical prices. Blame them.
Sneakers and crypto.
Yeah.
It's killing us.
Get on the blockchain. NFTs.
Oh my God.
Can I tell you how sick it makes me to see how many things are giving away NFTs now, like they mean something?
Yeah, Dead by Daylight started with NFTs, and I first of all haven't, obviously, if you've listened to the podcast, I haven't played that game in like a month now because it's not really working for me. But when they announced, so I don't even know the details. I know that they're not fully doing NFTs, but they're involved in it somehow with, like, I don't know if they're working in conjunction with another company that's doing NFTs. I don't remember, but the community freaked out. And there's 2 other games that are coming out that are very similar. One of that I think just came out this week called VHS. And people are threatening to jump ship off of Dead by Daylight, which I'll believe it when I see it. But
VHS, like the movie VHS?
Supposedly they're not
not related.
Yeah, they're not related, but it is a horror asymmetrical. Oh my gosh, I can't talk. Asymmetrical horror game like Dead by Daylight. It's a bit more of like a cartoony style. I don't know if it actually fully released yet or if it's still in like early release for content creators. I actually have to check that out. But a ton of people are threatening to jump ship to VHS when it fully rolls out because it's very similar to Dead by Daylight. So I know NFTs have really pissed off a lot of people.
Oy.
Yeah.
It's it's at this point where all this stuff is going after Roblox, where you just realize, are we getting too old for the industry? Are we old now?
Yes, Mark.
Yeah.
We're not the target audience anymore.
Nope.
It's not us.
That's depressing.
We're not even kind of close.
Nope. Well, I guess we can end the news segment on a kind of funny note because GTA has some very interesting patch fixes, only a few, for their trilogy they came out with. We're talking at more than 100 bugs that they have on their list to fix so far, which is absolutely crazy. But my favorite part of reading through this list is just going through the most ridiculous sounding bugs and kind of wishing that I experienced them first before they get fixed. I think one of the most popular ones and most hilarious ones were from San Andreas, where the character CJ just takes up the whole screen if you're in a certain vehicle. Like if you're on a motorcycle or if you're in a certain vehicle, his face just takes up the whole screen. It's the most derpy looking expression.
I think one of the glitches too is that I think it's bikes. Like they just constantly get bigger. Like they just continually grow once you get on it and like shake back and forth. It'll just continually grow.
You know, I feel like if a game has this many bugs, let's just embrace it and just let it be buggy. Like, what's the point?
The patch that just came out had over 100 bug fixes.
And there's still more to do.
How do you release a game that has that many bugs?
Yeah.
Bethesda?
And it's funny because Rockstar basically said that they're hopeful that these games will eventually reach the level of quality that they deserve to be. That is the most unsure statement I've ever heard.
It's like, why? What were you guys doing? Why did you decide to put this out? Why was there such a rush? Like,
because they had to, didn't they have to delay something?
They haven't told us anything about GTA 6, so who knows?
Because all I can think of is that they delayed something, or was
something must have happened to whatever they were working
on, and they had to get something out, like for the investors.
This stuff is wild.
Like hundreds of bugs. Like this clearly was not even close to being ready to ship.
No, there's no way, because there's a ton of like spelling issues on signs, and there's rain appearing under the water, or inside houses, inside Luigi's club during the cutscene to the mission "Don't spank my bitch up."
I mean, yeah. The one I saw was they have the donut and in the game it's supposed to look like a nut, like the tool, like the thing.
Oh, okay.
But when the computer, because they definitely ran this through a computer AI to
they're the phone versions of the game.
Yeah, and
or
they
PSP
changed the
versions, one or the
donut
other.
logo to an actual smooth round donut instead of looking like a giant,
Yeah.
nut.
That's funny.
And they had to fix that. I think that's in there too.
Because it's made to look like Brandy's donuts, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so like this list. If you out there listening have not read the list of the current fixes that have been done, you got to take a look and see if you could look some of these things up from before they were fixed, because these are hilarious bugs.
I mean, a lot of the facial animations and all put Assassin's Creed 2 remake to shame.
Yeah.
And but yeah, it just they should have just done one and just taken as much time as they could and just recreate it 3 instead of trying to do the trilogy.
Well, they just should have just not released anything.
No, yeah, but I mean, if they were going to do a remaster remake, go the Resident Evil route and focus on one at a time.
Right. Make it really good.
I think because they're all in the same engine and they've released them all as a trilogy before, they wanted to get it out as the definitive trilogy, which makes sense. But at the same time, do it right. Like what they were thinking, I have no idea.
Supposedly, if these GTA releases ever go well enough, they may do Red Dead Redemption next.
Which is put it out on PC.
Yeah,
it's very simple.
Let's hope that they get their act together.
Give me
I think
Red
that'd
Dead
be pretty
Redemption
cool
on PC, and I'll be happy.
Yeah, we'll see. Currently, the trilogy, the GTA trilogy, the definitive edition, is available for PS5, PS4, Xbox Series S and X, Xbox One, and PC. So there's a lot of.
They delayed the Switch port too. They had a physical version coming to Switch, and they had to delay it.
Oh, okay. I did not know about that.
Which makes sense because, dear God, can you imagine like this coming in?
No.
The patch would be bigger than the Switch's internal memory.
Yeah.
Oh, I think I remembered why they rushed these out. The next-gen versions of GTA 5 were supposed to come out this fall. And they delayed them. Back. So that's my theory about investors wanting something out in Q3.
Again, though, it's GTA 5. It's been out for how many years?
I know, but
it came out on the PS3 and Xbox 360. That's how old it is. We're 2 generations
just the thing
beyond
about investors. That's why Cyberpunk came out the way it did. Mm-hmm.
That's so. I hate it.
You think they would have learned
so much?
You think they would have learned by now why it's a bad idea to rush a game just for investors? Like, I get it. If you're an investor, you want to see what your money's doing. But if I put my money into this and I saw some of these bugs, I would have been like, "What is happening?" But,
yeah, I don't know what. It just flabbergasts me. I don't know.
Yeah. Especially after we got Cyberpunk, that this is still a thing.
Yeah,
is beyond me.
Like, I don't know.
Didn't the gaming world learn its lesson through Cyberpunk?
Apparently not. Apparently not.
Yeah. So that's all I got for the news for this podcast.
Well, it's timely that we decided to go with this topic. We went we have our main topic this week, which is the worst video game remakes of all time. And as of right now, I'm thinking that these are the worst ones. But there's
damn it.
There's a litany of bad remakes and unnecessarily bad remakes.
Yeah.
And
I'm assuming we're interchanging the words remake and remaster?
Yes.
No? Okay.
Yeah, remake, remaster, they're one and the same for this conversation.
Yeah, because I had trouble thinking and researching like any truly bad remakes. Like usually when they do it from the ground up, like a good 80% of the time they're good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the whole thing's a shit show.
Yeah. There's one example that's on my list. That's actually both. Okay. That I'll explain in my section.
Well, I'm going to go first because I've got a lot to say about this one.
Go right ahead.
I'm going to start with the least, I think the least bad. It's still not good. It's the Sega Smash Pack for the Sega Dreamcast. They put a whole bunch of Genesis games on a disc and put it on the Dreamcast, but they're not they didn't port the games to the Dreamcast. They're running on terrible emulation. Like the worst emulation I think I've ever seen. Like, it's very clear because when you emulate Sonic, when he comes in on the title screen and he like wags his finger, if it's bad emulation, his like stomach will hang out over the title screen. But on the regular game, that doesn't happen. So immediately you're like, all right, something's off here.
That's hilarious.
But the worst part is the sound. The sound emulation is it's hard enough to emulate the Genesis sound chips, but
and have that grimy sound chip.
It was even worse than even the worst sounding Genesis. It was nowhere near close. I want to say My Life in Gaming did a whole thing on the best ways to play certain Genesis games, and in that they talked about the Sega Smash Pack and how terrible it was. So if you want to go see just how bad it is and how it compares to like the original stuff, go watch that video and you'll see just how abysmal this Sega Smash Pack was. You could tell that Sega didn't give a shit at this point. They were just like, all right, just throw whatever we got. Just put Sonic on a disc because we don't have anything else. But yeah, that's my first one because I think it's a good lead off. And
that's the best of your worst?
That's the best of my worst.
This is a great topic. I just want to say that in advance.
I'm glad you enjoyed it. I thought I was giddy from how many options we had.
Yeah.
Mark, you want to go next?
Yeah. So mine is the Dark Souls remaster. And the reason why I said this one is kind of a hybrid of both things of the word is because they basically did technically remake it from the ground up. Because they put it in a whole different engine. Like, it wasn't just a graphics update. They put that game into the Dark Souls 3 engine. But some people may disagree with me. But I think the upgrading it to the smoother, better looking engine actually took away from some of the charm of the original game. It lost some of its, thing that differentiated it for me. Maybe it made it look too much like Dark Souls 3. If you think about like remasters and remakes, usually all the time, if they use new engines, they add something to it to make it, go, yeah, this is that game. It's not like this game. But for this, it just looked like, essentially a fan remade, Dark Souls in the Dark Souls 3 engine. I missed a little bit of the, not to use the word grimy twice in the span of 5 minutes, but, sort of that grungy look of, Dark Souls. Because you would get, without having that, sort of not very spectacular looking, biomes, and then you walk into like New Lando and it's just this clean, completely different than anything you've been in. That transition hits so much harder on the PS3 version than it does on the up-res version, and I think that's why it's one of my poor remakes. I realized going through this that I haven't really played any bad remakes too much. A lot of the times, if I hear of a game being remade or remastered, I tend to not get to play those games. But I was at least able to have two and maybe a spicy third one if neither of you bring it up.
Okay.
Jen, go ahead.
So I took the worst remakes, literally. I didn't think about remasters, so they might have been a little bit easier for me, but the two that I found, I absolutely hated with my whole entire soul. So the first one, I don't know if you guys have played this. It's a specific version of it. It's Tomb Raider Anniversary specifically for the Wii.
That's a bad one.
Yeah. So I've always been a huge Tomb Raider fan. I started out playing it on PC at my aunt and uncle's house when I was a kid. And that's mainly where all of my PC gaming experience came from, like Monster Truck Madness. So when the anniversary editions came out for Tomb Raider, I was so excited. I actually wound up buying it for myself for the 360 and I loved it. And then I also got it as a gift for Christmas for the Wii because that was like our brand new console for the family. So I'm pretty sure like my parents got it for me. But there's such a huge difference between those two games, between the different consoles. It's crazy. The graphics look terrible on the Wii, especially when comparing it to the 360. And the frame rate, I remember during certain like action sequences, the frame rate was really bad. Like it skipped around a lot. It looked terrible. And then the controls, like using the nunchucks, was not great either. The only positive to that is that you could use the nunchucks as a flashlight to actually control her flashlight, which was pretty cool. But other than that, the entire time playing with the Wii controls, you had to like work so much harder to line up a jump properly. And if you've ever played Tomb Raider, you would know that you have to be able to get through these tricky levels. And, you know, jumping on an angle by accident is literally going to kill you a million times. So I did not play this game a lot on the Wii. I loved it on the 360, like I said. I think this is probably the perfect example of how a game could be great on most consoles, but then just really suck when it's not ported well or when it forces you to play with bad controls. Yeah. So that was my first one. Again, love it on the 360, just not on the Wii.
All right. So let's see. I'm gonna go with this one next. It's GoldenEye Reloaded. Dear God, was this a thing? So people have been clamoring for GoldenEye, like either remaster or remake, and it was rumored that Rare had worked on one at some point on the 360. Needless to say, this was not what that was. This was, I think, whoever had the license, either Activision or EA or so, I forget who it was, but they were like, we're going to make a quick cash grab on this and throw the name GoldenEye on this thing, and people will buy it. And I did. So the first problem with it is that it's Daniel Craig as James Bond.
I've seen pictures of that, and it's pretty terrifying.
So that's already the first problem. They were like, they either couldn't get Pierce Brosnan's likeness, or they just chose not to because they already owned Daniel Craig's. And then they decided, we're just going to throw all these weird levels in that didn't exist in the original GoldenEye and didn't exist in the movie, but yeah, we're just going to throw them in there. And we're going to make it play like Call of Duty. And that's it. It's just like, it was so far removed from the original GoldenEye that they shouldn't have even called it GoldenEye. They should have called it something else, because it like did essentially the same storyline, but it wasn't in the same order, or the levels didn't play the same. The gameplay was totally different. It was just a mess. So if you haven't played GoldenEye Reloaded or watched anybody play it or compare it to the original, go do that, because God, it was just so frustrating. And I love that now we're able to play the original GoldenEye remaster. I may have acquired said game. It was being passed around for a little while, but it's fully playable. And if you have the ability to find it and play it, you should play it. All right. Go ahead, Mark, for your next one.
So my next one is probably closer to the Grand Theft Auto remakes that we were discussing, because it's a similar company that doesn't give a shit about its fans or its legacy. And I am talking about the Silent Hill HD collection.
There it is.
I was going to add that one too, but I didn't.
It is atrocious.
Yeah, that was the one I was hoping somebody talked about, because I never played it, but I've heard how bad it is.
It basically, it is the most obvious money grab of all time, because it came on the heels of the Metal Gear Solid HD collection, which is actually pretty good. As most of which is why Metal Gear didn't come up, most of the remakes, remasters of Metal Gear games are pretty good. You know, the game, Subsistence on GameCube, or whichever one, I forget who names
consoles,
those things.
I think. It was on all of them.
But Twin Snakes is the remake of one. But yeah, this one, they just didn't care, or they didn't get why Silent Hill was popular. Mm-hmm. It is, all the improvements they made to the first one just take away a lot of the creepiness, because now they don't need the fog for draw distance. So, there's some instances where it should be there, but, the system doesn't know how to load. It's a mess. You'd be better off either legally downloading the ROMs or trying to find the originals and getting original hardware. It's like not even worth the sales price for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is absolutely the worst one of any Remake HD collection that I've played.
I'm glad you mentioned it because that was the one I had thought about when coming up with this topic.
Yeah, and the Grand Theft Auto one is the closest to that there's been since.
Pretty bad.
Jen, how about you? What's the next
So
one?
my second one is Super Mario 64 for the DS.
Ooh, good one.
Yeah. This one made me so angry I threw it in the garbage. Or I gave it to my cousin, but I'd like to say I definitely threw it in the garbage because it sounds better. So I think everyone knows by now that Super Mario 64 is one of my favorite games of all time. I have tried to own this game on pretty much every console it comes out for, but I was really, really disappointed when I got it for the DS. The controls in this game are by far the worst part of this remake. I don't know if you guys have played it. You're stuck using the stylus and the touchscreen to jump and run, and you're directionally controlling your character with the D-pad. It is the most stiff and horrible and just straight up wrong way to control your character at all, let alone in Super Mario 64. It's such a horrible change from the analog stick. And they changed the storyline a little bit. So you're able to change between characters to play as, which I wasn't expecting. I didn't realize that this was like a true... I guess I thought this was a remaster. I did not realize it was like a remake where they're actually changing the game up.
They fully remade it for the DS.
Yeah. In the beginning, you're invited to Peach's castle, and then Mario, I think Wario, and Luigi show up. And then they disappear. And then you start out as Yoshi, who's like sleeping on top of the castle. And I was just sitting there like, what? What is going on? And then the graphics are just not, they're not great. I feel like they got downgraded. It didn't feel like I was playing a Super Mario 64 game. I was just like straight up offended by this remake. I'm all for a remake usually, but this is one of the games I did not want a remake for. I just wanted it to be remastered, or I just wanted to play the original game. Like, I didn't want new content. I didn't want them to change it. I didn't want them to add mini games. I didn't want to play as Yoshi. I just want the original game. And I think the controls, if I had to pick one part of this game, the controls are just totally unplayable. And I was shocked to see how many big gaming publications gave this like an 80% and up of a rating score. I'm shocked that I don't know. I don't want to put them on blast because that's what I would consider this if I said some of the gaming publications that actually said this was good. But so many of them said that the controls specifically were a great update. Like, are you kidding me right now? Come at me. Anyone listening, if you think those controls were good, please add me. I would love to know why you thought that. But, this was a horrible game.
Anytime your main controls go through a touchscreen, it's pretty...
With a stylus. Ew, gross.
Yeah.
So, something weird that I learned, apparently... in the DS, in the wrist strap, apparently there's like a stylus type thing in that little clasp that you can use with your thumb, which makes it a little better, that I had never seen before. I watched a video, Stop Skeletons from Fighting did a video on it. I had never seen anything like this before, but apparently you can use that as opposed to the stylus, which may make it better. But still, running like a main part of your game through a touchscreen, not a good idea. Ever.
Yeah, that's awful. Especially this game. Just no.
Such an iconic game to do that to it.
Yeah. Just to let you know, my spicy take thing was that, I'm glad you brought this up, was that the 3D All-Stars was a second swing and a miss at remaking, remastering Super Mario 64.
I didn't even mind that one, maybe because of this ultimate disappointment that I had. I didn't have a problem with that one, to be honest.
It was way better than that.
It was way better than the 64, the DS version.
The version that's on what's it called? The Nintendo Switch Online is worse than the one in 3D All-Stars. It's not the same.
Yeah. So they officially struck out on trying to remake that game.
Three strikeouts, I guess we could say, right?
Yep.
The DS, Switch Online, and All-Stars.
3D All-Stars, yep.
I think All-Stars was the best of the three, though.
Oh, yeah, easily.
Yeah.
Mark, did you have any other ones?
No, those are the only two I had. And...
All right. I got one more.
All right.
And I saved the best for last. the worst for last, and that is Tony Hawk HD.
Yes, I knew you would mention it.
Yeah, I had a feeling you were going to mention that too.
So it was like the early 2010s, I think, that they decided, oh, let's take every Tony Hawk game, like 1, 2, and 3, and make them HD. But let's not have anybody that originally worked on it do it. So the team was would eventually go on to make Tony Hawk 5, so that should tell you how good this is already. Robomoto made this version of this conglomeration of levels they called Tony Hawk HD, which had Tony Hawk 1, Tony Hawk 2 levels, and they did this and they put the game out, and nothing worked like the original games. The physics was off. The graphics were not good. They couldn't get all of the music. So it was one of those things like, why did you guys bother doing this besides trying to make money while doing it half-assed? And the game modes were just not good. They tried to just throw in stuff to make content, and it just nothing worked. The game was pretty much broken on PC. If you tried to run it above 720p, it would just crash over and over and over. Because I bought it on PC thinking, oh, it'll look better on PC. Nope, you can't run it over 720p or it'll break. Because I think I bought it on 360 first, and then I went, oh, I can't play this on the 360 because the D-pad's terrible. Because obviously in Tony Hawk you have to do all the moves with the D-pad. So I got it on PS3, and it was not any better. And then I just realized, oh, the game is just shit. So it didn't have anything to do with the controller. Eventually, I learned, because at the time I still didn't understand that a game could be that bad, that I wanted it to be good. And it's by far, besides Tony Hawk 5, which if you haven't seen Tony Hawk 5, it's oof. It might as well have been a mobile game. It's definitely the worst one besides Tony Hawk 5. Same people made it, so why not? Of course it's going to be shit. I want to say Rad Rat Video did a really good review on Tony Hawk HD. Go check that out. I'm plugging all kinds of people today. That's just what I'm doing. Just because they did very good reviews on these things, and they should be listened to. Because, my God, people just need to stop trying to make money lazily. Just either put out a new game, or if you're gonna do a remaster, do it right.
Right.
Just don't I could have put a bunch of Final Fantasies on this too, like Final Fantasy VIII. When they put that out, when they redid that one, they put the MIDI music in it for the PC instead of the PS1 music. There's just it just goes forever. Just because companies want to make money and they don't think about the player. They just think about, how can we do this as fast and as simply as possible without doing any work?
It really sucks because some of these remakes, you're doing it. The seasoned player, the big fans, they're going to want to buy it, and they're going to want to play it, and they're going to want to experience the remake, and you're letting them down so hard with some of these games. Exactly,
which is why I was so worried about Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Yeah.
It could have been the biggest pile of dog shit ever, because Square had something to do with it. Because Square is known for doing these quick and dirty remakes and remasters. Like I said, I could talk about this all night, because there's especially if you look at companies like Square and EA and who else was shitty and did stuff like this? I guess Sega kind of crappy too. They were well known for doing this, and they still do it. Square's doing it to this day with the Pixel remasters for all the early Final Fantasy games. They just took the phone version and threw it on the computer, and it looked like shit. And I don't know. There's just still stuff broken and everything. So anyway, I'm done ranting.
It's a good topic.
It like I said, I could talk about this all night, because things are just coming to me now that I'm thinking about it. And
the floodgates are open.
The floodgates have opened. And we're going to talk about a game that got a remaster, reboot, whatever you want to call it itself, in our Retro Roulette game. And that's Klonoa, Door to Phantomile for the PlayStation 1, which got remade for the Wii. Oh. Which it was an unknown game that got remade for the most popular console, and it still couldn't sell anything. So I don't know what to tell you. Was it Capcom? Did Capcom make this game? I don't remember. But yeah, we're going to talk about Klonoa right now. So this was an interesting one because none of us had played this game before. I want to say this is the first one that none of us have played it before.
Yeah, probably.
Okay, it was Namco. Namco put out Klonoa, which makes sense because I can't think of another Namco game that is popular besides like Ridge Racer. So anyway, this was Namco's attempt at a what is the word I'm looking? A mascot platformer. Needless to say, it did not go well. Klonoa eventually did get a sequel. There was Klonoa 2, and then, like I said, they rebooted it for the Wii. So you basically are playing as an anthropomorphic dog, bunny? I still don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either.
That it lives in like a fantasy world, and you are trying to save everyone in your dreams. You had a world that you're trying to keep the world from going into a world of nightmare. So it's basically just a simple platformer with a lot of different branching paths. And I had a lot of fun with it, but I'm interested to hear what you guys had to say. Jen, I know you had problems with it, so you can start us off.
Yeah, I was really looking forward to playing this game because number one, you hyped it up and you're like, oh, this is going to be, up your alley. And then when I was watching you play it, I could tell that it was going to be up my alley. But unfortunately, my super legit PlayStation kept freezing and not playing the game.
Damn scratches on the disc.
Yeah, there's all those scratches on the disc. So I don't really have too much firsthand experience. I can tell you, I'm pretty sure I know why, as a mascot character, that it was not popular, Klonoa. This is the most busy, strange-looking attempt at a mascot I've ever seen. Like you said, you don't know what it's supposed to be. The colors are all wild on this thing's outfit. It's like a dumpster fire of a design. But aside from that, the game itself is really cute. The music is adorable. Like you said, it's a platformer, so it has that going for it, if you like platformers at the very least. And the little bit that I played in the beginning, it's not overly difficult where I wanted to like rage and get frustrated. It has had its moments where I had to figure out how to use the different animals to like help me jump higher and all that stuff. But once I picked up on those things, it was a lot of fun. And I'm really disappointed that I didn't get to play it for more than I did, because I feel like I would have had a much better and more detailed review on it. I am going to keep trying to play it to get this PlayStation to work. So maybe for the next podcast, if I get it going, I could like do an update review. But I can tell that it's something that I would have enjoyed playing. I'm not surprised that the character itself wasn't the next Sonic. I could tell maybe that they were slightly inspired by Sonic's design with its eyes and its face, but I get that it's a dream world, so it makes sense that some of the character designs are real weird. But that the character design of Klonoa is wild.
What did you think of the Simlish language?
I think it's cute. I like how, I was trying to remember when I was watching you play on stream, it reminded me, I know you were saying Simlish, it reminded me of something else too, and I can't remember it. I can't remember what I was thinking of when I was watching you play it, but I think it's really cute. The language is cute, the voices are cute. And then there's like a little Navi type character.
Yep.
Right? That's really cute too. It's just cute. It's cute aside from Klonoa's design. But,
eventually I think they changed Klonoa's design for like the Wii version. I want to say they changed him up a little bit.
He doesn't have like weird yellow eyes or whatever.
I think his ears was the biggest difference. I think they shortened the ears up and stuff. I still don't know what it is. I don't know if it's a boy or girl, or B, if it's a cat, dog, rabbit. Don't know.
It kind of looks like, I'm looking at the Empire of Dreams, which was the sequel, right?
Yep.
It kind of looks more like a rabbit. It looks like Sonic the Hedgehog as a rabbit. It looks like Sonic the Rabbit. That's what it looks like. And its ears are like pigtails.
Yeah,
almost.
It's weird. I don't.
Yeah. This one is cuter than the first one, though. I will say that. It's way more marketable, I think, than the first one was.
It definitely has a cat look to him or her. I don't know.
Yeah, because it has like white whiskers too.
Yeah, and the eyes
Like
is very, very feline looking.
Yeah. Huh.
And Mark pointed that out when we were playing, that it has a belt and then like a dog collar around its neck, like a giant dog collar.
Yeah,
like for no reason.
Mistaken for a belt.
Yeah, it does look like a belt collar.
For no reason, it's got a giant collar. We couldn't figure out what the hell it was.
Yeah.
Layering. It was the 90s into the 2000s, right? You needed all the bulky layers.
Yep. Mark, how about you? Where were you coming from with Klonoa?
So no surprise, the first thing is I'm not good at platformers. So, this wasn't that difficult in terms of other platformers, but it's still, struggle bus at times to get through some of it. But yeah, basically everything I saw when you played through came through what I played, in the sense that I could see some of the ideas that got this game greenlit, like the isometric, all that, the changing of perspectives on the map was probably pretty cool in the presentation, and the idea of trying to make it a mascot, and just the mechanics of using the enemies to jump higher and solve puzzles and stuff like that. So I could see all the things that put it together and made people think that it was going to be a good game before it was released. But I think if we released this type of game like 10 years later, right around, if my timing's right, like right around the time of Fez and all that, it may have been a little more successful than it was. Because, just playing with perspective wasn't something that people were looking for back on the PS1. They just wanted big 3D worlds with the space system. So, even you think of a Crash Bandicoot, that was just, basically hallways. But since they looked very 3D and great, you didn't mind that it wasn't like an open space. Here, by trying to do all the perspective stuff and the little slightly lower graphical quality, just gets very frustrating playing. And also, I think if they made him a little less busy, he could have become a mascot, like we mentioned. Like even the attempts, like Blinks, the Time Sweeper, and stuff like that, they made them. They were just animal, Crash and Sonic, and a lot of those 90s things, they were just,
they didn't make up their own animal.
Yeah, they were just animals. And I don't know if they were trying to go for a standout by making them unique and putting all this clothes on them, but it didn't really jive with me in terms of what they were going for with that. I feel like I would have played this game a lot back in PS1 era because it was not too difficult for me, but it would have been one of those games that I got, and it was one of the 3 games that I got for the year, and I would have played through it a lot. There's nothing really technically frustratingly wrong about it that would make me want to throw it out the window or give it to my cousin. But yeah, very basic, fine game.
Can I also just throw in a quick update? Doing extensive research over the past 3 minutes, I've learned that there are 2 theories about its animal references. It's either a cross between a rabbit and a cat, or it's a skunk, which I don't agree with.
I don't like the skunk.
Yeah, I don't agree with the skunk, but those are the two theories.
But yeah, I had heard about this game a couple of years ago, and I always thought it looked interesting, and it was definitely one of those games that got made because of the concept. I think, Mark, you're right. I think they said, oh, you can interact with the foreground and background, so it's not 2D, because at the time, PlayStation was really against doing any 2D game. They wanted all 3D games. Anything that was being made needed to be 3-dimensional, which this game had like a 2.5D-esque look and feel to it. And you can do things like interact with the background and interact with the foreground depending on which way you're going. And it has a really cool look. Somebody had said on the stream when I was playing that it didn't look very good, and I think that is an element of having to upscale it these days. I think it was one of those games that was fit for a CRT. I think that it's hard to go back to now. It's one of those things where you have to be in the mindset of 1997 or whatever year this came out. But it's simple, which is nice because a lot of the games, a lot of platformers like this, sometimes will throw in all these extra moves and things that you can do that just makes things overly complicated. This game is not overly complicated. You jump, you can pick up enemies, and you can use them to double jump. That's pretty much it. And you can float. That's pretty much it. And it was very refreshing to play a game that didn't have like, oh, you have to press this button to dash and this button to shoot different enemies and things like that. It was nice to be, I could pick this game up, and once Mark told me how to pick things up and do the double jump, that was it. That's all I needed to know. And there was a lot of checkpoints, which was nice. That's something you don't really see now. Well, or something you didn't see then, I should say. Checkpoints in a platformer weren't really a thing, and it was nice that you could save after each world. Once you finished it, a save thing would come up, and it wasn't like a password system. Thank God we got past password systems at this point, because they're a thing of nightmares. Like if you've ever played a Castlevania or something and you have to go type in a 37-digit long password, it's a pain in the ass, and you never want to do it. Yeah. But like I was saying, so like everybody else said, the music is really good. For me, when I was playing it, I was playing on a CRT, so it looked really nice. I didn't have any blocky looking, crappy looking issues. So, I would say if you're going to try to play this, if you have the ability, play it on a CRT. I would highly recommend that, or play it with scan lines enabled. If you're doing it as some other way, I would say enable scan lines. It makes the game look a lot better. But overall, like Mark said, it's a fine game. I'd call it a good game. I don't think there's anything it did that was mind blowing, but at the same time, it was easy to pick up and play, and it wasn't one of those platformers that made you want to throw a controller or bash your head against the wall. It's a simple game that is easy to understand, easy to go back to and pick up, and you don't have to worry about relearning how to play it. Because a lot of times, games like, I don't know, like say Symphony of the Night, you have to relearn how to play Symphony of the Night every time you pick it up. So it's a refreshing, different platformer. I guess that's the best way I can put it. I don't know if you guys have any final thoughts before we give it a score.
I think you said it perfectly just now. It was enough of a challenge to be fun, but not too much of a challenge to be overly frustrating. Sometimes simple enough is the way to go, especially with platformers.
Yeah, I agree. All right. Well, Jen, what kind of score are you giving Klonoa?
I'm giving it a 3.5, only because I liked what I saw so far, even though I didn't get to play a lot of it. I feel like that's a good enough sign to me that it's going to be better than a 3 out of 5, in my opinion. I would like to try to play it more than for about 15 minutes. That way I could really get a feel for the whole game. But
I'll try to fix I'll try to fix your PlayStation tomorrow.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
I'm going 3 out of 5. I think if it looked a little better, some of those areas, I'm trying to remember, because I played it like the day after you played it, so it's been a while for me. That place when you go like inside a tree or something, and it's like really, it's like dark.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about, Tom?
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah. I think if they did a little bit better of a job with changing, I keep using the word biome because it's just my word today, apparently. If they made that stuff look better and interesting, I think I would have liked it a little more, but I think just the not high-end, graphics in terms of, when you see a game like Crash Bandicoot that came out at the same time, and worrying too much about the perspective thing, I think took away from this game. I think it would have been a really great, like, 2D platformer, and you could have done all the stuff you did and made it look better. But it's as both of you said, it's, even for a guy that's terrible at platformers, it's not too frustrating to play. but it's not as much of a challenge for people that want a little bit of a challenge. It very much felt like a PS1 game when the companies were still marketing exclusively to like children and young teens.
Yeah, I agree. I'm going to give it a 3.5 out of 5. And I was just going to bring that up. I was not the target audience for this game. This game was very much targeted towards kids. When I was playing it on stream, I had mentioned that I don't think anybody over the age of 13 would have probably wanted to pick this up for the PlayStation, just because it was so cute. And at the time, they weren't really marketing to girls for gaming yet. I'm not trying to leave anybody out, but that's just the way it was in the 90s. It just was, they didn't market towards girl gamers yet. And I feel like this kind of would have fit in that category. Am I right, Jen?
Yeah, I think so. It's definitely got that cute, the cuteness factor going for it.
But yeah, I like I said, I think if you were like 13 and younger when this game came out, this would have been like, oh, that looks cool. Like it wouldn't have been too much of a baby game to play. But like we all said, it's a good game for someone who wants to play a platformer that doesn't want something super challenging, and it has decent enough visuals, and it's got a pretty interesting story if you pay attention to the story. There's a lot of stuff that happens, so it's we joke that this is where Kingdom Hearts came from, which I could kind of see that happening.
Yeah.
It kind of had a big convoluted story about hearts and dreams and things like that. So if you want to pay attention to the story, it's actually pretty interesting. And like the boss battles were pretty good. They were a pretty good challenge, and once you figure them out, obviously they weren't super difficult, but it took a good couple of minutes to figure out the bosses. So it was nice to see boss battles weren't ridiculously hard like they were in, I don't know, like what the hell did we just really play? Blaster Master. Like the bosses in Blaster Master, which is like, why bother? why bother shooting this thing? It's just going to kill me immediately. But anyway, so yeah, 3.5 out of 5 for me. I think it's a pretty good game. I give it a shot if you have a way to play PlayStation games, and I don't think you'll be upset by it. All right, that's it for Klonoa. I think it's time to spin the wheel. Okay, we got a PS2 game this week. Some of you may have heard of it. We're playing Kingdom Hearts.
Never heard of it.
Is this a medieval game?
Yeah. You're like a knight.
Got it.
There's a lot of Durgans, Mark. Be ready.
Be up my alley.
I feel like I just talked about this game or something. So yeah, we're going to play the original Kingdom Hearts. We're going to play the PS2 version so we can see how the controls have changed. So that's something interesting. I don't know if you've played the original version of Kingdom Hearts recently, but the controls are very weird. I want to say the R and L buttons are your camera. Like the right stick doesn't do anything. So I hope you're prepared.
That's going to bother me so much.
Well, you'll be able to change it if you really want to, but yeah, this should be interesting. It's been a long time since I've booted up the original Kingdom Hearts on a PS2 and played it, because they released it 6 different times for every console, and I think I own it on all of them. So this should be fun.
I'm very excited.
Good. I'm glad Jen's pumped for this one. And Mark, you've never played a Kingdom Hearts game?
It.
Okay.
Oh, so I've played a game that you haven't played. That's like a first, I think, again.
I'm excited. I'm excited for that because I love the Kingdom Hearts franchise, and it's always good to go back to the first one. So I'll be playing this. If you're listening when this comes out, I'll be playing tonight. I'll be streaming on our channel at 9 p.m. twitch.tv/GameVaultPod. So come check it out there. So I think that's going to do it for us tonight. Mark, do you want to let everybody know about our family of podcasts? Yeah.
So Stranger Damies, final 3 episodes are airing. The first of that trilogy aired on Wednesday. So be sure to check that out. We're on Instagram and Twitter at Stranger Damies. Be sure to keep track of those social medias because we are continuing the story amongst ourselves. We're just not recording it any further for you. But there'll be some great photos and stuff like that. And then we have They Call This a Movie. Airs every Thursday. Find it on Spreaker or anywhere you get podcasts. We're on Instagram and Twitter at The Main Damie. TheMainDamie.com is our website where all of our content is located. So if you want to read some writing from Anthony or listen to any of our podcasts, they're all located there. It's a good one-stop shop. And hopefully we'll be having a good themed Christmas month here. So be on the lookout. So Jen, what's the streaming schedule?
So currently we are streaming 3 days a week over on Game Vault Pod on Twitch. Right now we do Mondays, as Tom just mentioned. It's either going to be Retro Roulette, where he plays through our Retro Roulette game that we pick on this podcast, and usually Mark joins for that. Or it is Tom's night to play an RPG game, although right now that is on hold because he is currently playing through RE2 Remake, thanks to the sub goal that we hit on our Twitch channel. So again, it's either going to be Retro Roulette or currently RE2 Remake with Tom. Then Wednesdays is our FPS night where the three of us jump on and play some kind of first-person shooter game. Currently, we are playing through Halo Infinite. And then Thursdays is co-op day with Mark. Right now, Mark and myself are playing through It Takes Two. And when that wraps up within the next couple of weeks, Tom and Mark have something in the works. But as of now, we just stream 3 days a week consistently. We'll let you know on Twitter and Discord if anything changes going forward.
Yep, and be on the lookout for a new sub goal at some point.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
We'll be making that live hopefully in the next couple of weeks.
Yep.
So, if you need any retro console accessories, please head on over to Stone Age Gamer. We are an affiliate of Stone Age Gamer. If you need any retro accessories, whether it be cables or cartridges, or controllers, or pretty much anything, head on over there via the link in the description of this podcast. Anytime you purchase something from there, it will give us a little kickback and help us make these podcasts and our streams better for you guys. So, thank you everyone for hanging out with us. Hope you all are well. Hope you are having happy holidays. And for Mark and Jenny, I'm Tom, and we'll catch you guys in the next one.